You're good.
A Muslim can have a relationship with God the Father, right? Because they don't believe Jesus is God either. However, what we would say is that Jesus is still working for them. Right? Jesus is working to draw all of us to the Father. So it sounds strange to say that Jesus is working so that the Jew can have a relationship with the Father. Jesus is working so that the Muslims can have a relationship with the Father. But remember, the only way that anyone gets into heaven, Jew, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Christian, is through the death of Jesus. Okay? Yes? Oh, are you just stretching your hand? Okay, I thought you had a big question on Christology there. All right. So how does Jesus become man? All right. Let me also just say this with this, because we get in this new translation. By the way, I had Mass this morning. I was sharing with Connie. I helped out at a parish up in Horsham this morning. And I got there and I said, are you using the New Glory or anything already? And they said, oh, we're just doing the whole Mass now with the new sacramentary. And I said, oh. I'm like, are you okay with that? And I said, well, I've never seen the book. So I celebrated Mass this morning with the whole new translation. It was really awkward and I was very slow. I felt like it was my first Mass ever, But I got through it. But one of the things, that held the thing up was inclusive language. And where does inclusive language go and where doesn't? So we say Jesus became man. Part of that issue there is that we don't have a word that is gender neutral. Every other language, like in Latin, it's homo, H-O-M-O, which of course you guys call someone a homo. It's not a very nice thing, right? But homo means a human person. In Latin, there's vir, means a man, Carl and then myself and George men, okay? But in English, we don't have that word. Human is close, but it's really not the thing. And so in the translation, a lot of times it says Jesus became man, all right? But again, it became the same nature that women have as well. It's just we don't have the word in English. So he humbled himself. And how did it happen? Through the power of the Holy Spirit. Let's remember the story. So how did the Christmas story begin? So 9 months before, an angel comes to who? Mary. What was the angel's name? Gabriel, right? So the angel Gabriel comes to Mary. She lived in what town? Oh. Where did Mary lived in Nazareth. Very good, all right? Mary lived in Nazareth, a little nothing of a town, all right? This is key because all the Old Testament prophecies say that a virgin will conceive and bear a child, okay? So Mary is a virgin. Again, she's betrothed to Joseph, but before they lived together, so they're legally married, so Mary was not an unwed mother, which sometimes people will say. All right? But God humbles himself. The angel comes to Mary, right, and says the words to Hail Mary, you are full of grace. All right? Full of grace, overflowing with grace. Blessed are you among women, and blessed will be the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Right? And Mary will say, how could this happen? Right? Again, she's a 16, 17-year-old girl. 16, 17-year-old girl, and she's like, hold on, an angel is talking to me here. An angel is talking to me. Now again, did the angel appear? We're not sure how that all worked. But we know the story because she told it to other people, and Luke puts it in the gospel. But she says, how can this be? And the angel says, the Holy Spirit is going to come upon you and overshadow you. And the child to be born will be Son of the Most High. So what happens there is that Mary does not conceive in the normal way that each of us would conceive, but through the power of the Holy Spirit, the egg that is within her, through her biology, splits. And she conceives in that way. So people can say, how can this happen? And I always say, let's remember who we're dealing with here. This is God who made everything out of nothing. Splitting an egg isn't that big of a deal. Right? I mean, let's put it in the context that it needs to be put in. Right? It's miraculous. It's the only time it's happened as far as we know. Right? And so she conceives in that amazing way. But she said yes. She said yes. God needed Mary to say yes. God will never act in the life of Cindy, or in the life of George, or the life of Olive, or the life of Alexis, without our saying yes. God always asks for us to say yes. And so, the God, the second person of the Trinity, Jesus as God, becomes an embryo, a zygote, right? An unborn child, and he grows just like the rest of us. It's utterly amazing. It's what makes the story beyond stories, right? The God-man. And so we say that Jesus is both God and man. And again, this is the big language there at 7 A, B, C, D on the handout. Jesus is truly God and truly man. He's one person, a divine person, with two natures. So he's got a divine intellect and will, so he knows things as God, but he also has to say yes as God, and then he's got a human intellect and will. And so it's in his human intellect and will, in his human nature, that he experiences limitations. Jesus had to learn how to read. He had to learn how to walk. Jesus wore a diaper. He had to learn how to speak. Mary and Joseph, yes, Jesus had to do all these things, Matthew. You didn't know that? Yeah. And then he grew up, just like you, right? Jesus had emotions. He was sad. He was happy. He was frustrated. He got hot. He was cold, right? And of course, on the cross, but even before that, he experienced suffering and pain. All the things that the human person experiences, he experienced, so he could save us as one like ourselves. Take a few minutes, talk at the table, and then we'll connect.